Lina in lane, I think is something that you really can't underestimate with that slow burn. It is just a stupid amount of damage if you manage to land your spells. And with Tino around, just one simple gush and a chase down with some right clicks, and minus armor, playing with your Lina can feel quite good. We do have some nice all chat coming out, nothing too weird, just good lucks coming out. Armel saying, curse UCML, revenge arc of Abbat. Abbat says the charger was not paid from Abbat.
Okay.
And they're looking for money. What's happening?
I don't know, John. I don't know what these boys are up to today, but it doesn't matter. We've got some good Dota on our hands. That's all that matters here. Is we are going to see smoke-on-smoke situations between these two teams, but neither team is right. Like, they're not even close to each other. Where's Tino going? What's Tino up to here? He's got his... Oh, he's blocking the Ancients. Okay. That's fair enough. I mean, you are up against a Beastmaster after all. It makes sense to just block those Ancients and make the stacking impossible to get done ASAP.
Yeah, Tino is that prolific Beastmaster player as we talked about. He knows what he doesn't like to play against, so he's going to get that done onto Cox and make his life a living hell. Doesn't look like anyone's going to be swapping around for runes. It's going to be a 2-for-2. And I have to say, this course in the Charger is going to be interesting. I guess Abbat will try to prove a point through a win that he did not steal any Charger. Why he would steal a Charger, who knows? But it goes back to our point yesterday about pro players, Mikey. They're just not ready sometimes. The manager's got to do everything. Got to get the Chargers out. Got to get the jerseys packed.
I mean, I know people that steal Chargers, Jonathan, so I wouldn't be too surprised if Abbat did. I'm not going to say he didn't, or he didn't, but he may have, John. You can't remove that possibility. It's mid lane, Armel. Getting a fair bit of damage already from Lewis. Of course, he doesn't go for the double shield crash, but it won't matter. Still, the Pango versus Invoker matchup can be pretty alright for the Pango. The shield crash spam can be pretty annoying to go up against here for Armel.
And it will be. You're really waiting on at least one of your rate bands to be up to feel nice on your right-click trades into level 3, level 4. Once you have a little bit more of that quas up with lifesteal, you can sustain pretty fine on Armel. So it's going to be a little bit static until that point. Taking a look at some of that aggression down bot already from Akashi. It does go for the level 1 reflection. And this is a pretty sweet lane to play in. Mind you, there is some good poke damage coming out here from the side of Kukuys. A couple of axes with the Earth Spike on hand, considering the low total HP of Akashi. With all that magic damage, it is something you have to respect. You will have to just kind of watch your pacing until that Metamorphosis threat is up. So far, so good for Cox and Joel. They are managing that lane nicely. Of course, the last lane is up top with Abbat and Ponyo up against
Cox.
Tino and Shanks. Oh?
They are jumping the Beastmaster right now, but a nice Earth Spike does make it so they actually can't continue chasing. You were saying, John, the final lane, top lane.
This is the one where it's a little bit spicy when you have that Lina support that you really don't see too often. Look at Abbat. Look at that burn damage just go to town.
Oh, he's actually going to
turn.
It
is a dumb amount of damage.
Abbat's going to try and go for the kill. Shank's actually going to go too far and does go down. I thought Shanks would just turn around and man fight against a Tiny and just hope for the best, but turns out he felt like he couldn't. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Cox still in trouble. Does have some stick charges, so we'll be able to barely survive, but well, that Metamorphosis is always so scary to go up against here with Akashi. Now that it is over, though, Cox, well, he's out of regen, but, he can spam those wild axes. He should be okay.
Gonna get a little bit of a reset from Joel as soon as he gets back, and maybe TP's in with some regen. You should be fine to just sustain that lane. You're still seeing a lot of poking and prodding on mid. You are starting to see Armel pull ahead. Again, he's got that 2 levels in plus, so despite all the pokes from Lewis, Armel's going to be happy enough to right-click. And again, he has that 1 Wraith band up. That's more than enough to provide a little bit of armor, a little bit more attack speed to sustain through. And this is where it just slows down just a tad bit for the Pango. So, rune control not going to be as important on the mid lane as well, considering it's Invoker. Maybe a little bit more for the Pango if you get room out on exit to try to get some help. And so far, so good in the laning phase. You are getting quite a fair bit of farm on Execration, right? The Akashi's having a grand old time. You're not having the quickest of times on Tino, but all he wants is trying to really soak up some EXP. They are getting some good pulls off on Kukuys. They didn't really manage to fully commit for the blocks here from Shanks, instead of opting to just open up their own large camp but that is giving some spacing out for a bot to just try to manage the lane a little bit better and soak up himself into like his level 4, level 5 spikes where you can start to threaten a little bit more.
Absolutely. Bit of a slower top lane, I've got to say, for a bot. Not having the greatest of times here up against the Tide laner. It's got to play quite cautiously, because once that Light Strike Ray does land, it's just so much damage they can burst out onto poor old bot. He's still finding farm, though. It looks like he's going to be alright, because the creep wave has been right by his tier 1 tower for the last few minutes. Shanks now going to get dived here by Ponyo, and it might actually just be a kill. Shanks, he will eat the Healing Lotus. So he's okay. But Ponyo really giving it back the way of the laner at this level 3 mark. And of course those level 2 Fire Spirits, usually quite a painful experience.
They are. Shanks just a little bit behind in EXP, does manage to at least hit tree. It has some trade potential with the Dragon Slave. That could help to at least give some presence out in the lane. We're seeing Lewis getting some good lane control as well, getting the shove in and getting himself the Water Runes, both Water Runes to top up.
They're still trying to snipe this laner. Abad almost got him. In fact, they're going to dive in. Fire Spirits do land. Shanks, is he going to die? Yes, he will. Oh, you love to see that. Abad just tossing the Tide in. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Cox will go down. So Akashi this time, with the Metamorphosis, does secure the kill onto the Beastmaster. But I did like that cheeky top play. Just the toss in, the Icarus dive in, just everything being thrown from a mile away to try and kill this laner.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of slowing this Lena's game down, right? You stall out this level 6. You don't really have room for Shanks to even try to stack up. He hasn't had the space to do so. They set up the wards to kind of watch that as well. Shanks does have the opportunity to rotate here, though.
Oh, very nice.
Snipe.
Very nice kill here from Shanks. Great setup onto Armel, who was not anticipating it and did not have vision on that left side of the river. That's a big pick-off. Finding that mid-invoker is always going to feel very nice. And I mean, Lewis was already having a great old lane as it was in the Pangolier, but now it's going to be even better.
Yeah. They're still set for some aggression. A bit of a chase down onto Joel very early on here.
But they've got this very strong combination with the Lich TB, so it's so easy to secure kills once you land the initial Frost Blast, and you don't even need Metamorphosis. I mean, TB still hits like a truck without it.
And he does. I think your issue right now for the side of Kukuys is no one's ever spotted that sentry, and considering that Cox had a debt, his support dies as well. He's not having his catch-up farm potential built up. They've done a great job in Execration to, again, cut off that recovery process for the Beastmaster. And we've seen what that does to Beastmasters. A stalled out Dominator timing or a stalled out Ags can kind of throw this hero off its mark, and it becomes a little bit of a farm vacuum. It soaks up all the map space that you can ask for, soaks up all of the safe farm, and there might not be enough left for you to try to play farm gaming on the side of a bot. So we'll see if they can somehow try to manage that on the side of Kukuys. Already some movement bot. Lewis wanting to get a play out with this Rolling Thunder available.
He's not going to find too much yet, but the 7-minute Wisdom Rune is spawning, and this is the perfect time for Lewis to try and get involved now as the TPs are incoming. Ponyo going to jump in, trying to take it. Does manage to pick it up, but it's going to cost his own life by the looks of it, as Ponyo, still alive, actually gets one before he does go down. Here comes Akashi, though, with the Sunder out on Cogs. Just making sure he does not die, as Lewis can't really stick around for a kill. Has to back out. But my Ponyo actually getting in range for that Wisdom Rune is now Armel. Gonna find the TB, and Akashi will lose his life as... I mean, Execration, it was a very nice attempt to try and swipe the Wisdom away, but it does cost them quite a bit, and they still get nothing out of it.
Good punishment out from the side of Kukuys. It does cost a lot in terms of rotating in, right? You even have to drag this Tiny over to try to play. Even a bot's movement through the gate just cut off by CML. But it does pay off. Mind you, you still haven't managed to sort out all your issues. At the least, the camp is opened up with the sentry just expiring. So you do have room now for Cox to try to stack up. But you are giving some free room out elsewhere. And the punishment on Akashi is good. The free space for Tino might be a cause of concern. He does have the threat of Ravage ready to go. He has a Soul Ring. And we have talked about this with Execration before, where if he has a free lane, it can run wild.
Could be a big kill on mid, but Lewis, he's actually going to survive with his one charge. Is now moving back in onto Ponyo, but does need to retreat. And no Rolling Thunder available, so can't really continue the fight. Not quite yet anyway. it doesn't seem like Kukuys are planning to back off either. I mean, Ponyo's still around, but he may have gone a bit too far now. Without Icarus Dive available, he's going to hand a kill back the way of Lewis, of all people.
And you're not going to mind that freebie. I like the aggression coming out from the Kukuys. I like this understanding of trying to play fast. Like, they have this really good ward behind the tier 1 just to set themselves up for this quick push and skirmish. But they still have to respect some spacing, right? Like, your supports aren't level 6. You don't have that bailout on Egg. You are getting some room out to at least build up your stacks now. And Ancients are being stacked up. Large Camp being stacked up quite nicely here as well. So the recovery farm is there. You just don't want to keep leading support kills like this.
Yeah, they're still trying to go into Jewel here, and Lewis is going to join in as well, finding Cox in the back. We'll just leave the Beastmaster. They got what they came for in the Lion, and that's going to be enough for them to happily retreat out of there. This bottom lane's still a pretty dangerous zone for Kukuys to try and play in. Have they found Ponyo? They have found Ponyo. He's got Icarus Dive available. Lewis is still having a gander. There's the Icarus Dive committed. You do have CML wrapping around the long way, and he's under vision now. Ponyo, he's going to be spotted. Gets a D ward off. Lewis trying to get him before he gets through the twin gates, and they've got him. The gaze will be enough to lock him down, and well, Ponyo at least gets a D ward, but it is going to be at the cost of his own life.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough right now for Ponyo, but he is giving some key space out. It is at the cost of a lot of EXP for this Phoenix, not sitting in the lane and just soaking. Again, this timing into 6 might be a little bit more stalled out than you'd want it to be with the Egg. They are still clumped down bot here on the side of Kukuys. They do have Roar ready on Cox if they can find a good target, and Akashi would be the big one.
He's got him. Tornado, though, not going to actually connect here from Armel. Just a little bit too projected. And Armel, I believe, was spotted running towards that bottom lane, so they were very well aware that he was coming, even with the Ghost Walk, because they had double wards around the mid-river. It's a bit unfortunate for Armel. He had an amp damage room, but all he's going to be able to really get out of this is the bottom tier 1 tower, which is still pretty good, but not quite the kill he would have liked. And I mean, Akashi and CML, they're still actually down south to the tier 1 bottom tower, but obviously they're not going to dive that deep in. They'll just leave the TBB for now. And eventually, Akashi, he'll show himself, but everything's fine now. Kukuys certainly can't hope to go for that kill.
Armel also did end up right-clicking a creep to break Ghost Walk before launching his combination, it looked like. Giving a little bit of just a quick response time for Akashi, considering how far that was for the Tornado. Just makes it a lot harder to try to make that play. Smoke out from Exe is a little bit sneaky, but there's also movement on mid here from Kukuys, so a bit of a split-up fight.
Now, Rolling Thunder's going to be there for Cox. They want these stacks taken away from this Beastmaster, and Cox is just not going to be able to get out, as CML will throw the Chain Frost to commit for the kill, and does get it. And, well, I mean, those large creeps, they're still sitting there, but I think Lewis may have just forgotten. It's a bit of a shame. There's some free gold there for Lewis to take, but he'll leave them be, and instead Jewel will come over and clear them up.
Get a little bit of an injection on the line. Not the worst thing in the world, considering, again, the fact that Blinks do feel like a very big part of how Kukuys will start to jump around. You're not expecting quick blink for Cox, considering the normal Ags build-up on the Beastmaster. So it's going to be down to like a bot plus one more to initiate, and that theoretically should be Joel. They also did, again, split up that fight onto mid, so they had information who was close by. Dino is starting to show up, though, and again, the threat of Ravage is still there if they were to force this out.
He's still got plenty of mana to use as well. Arcane Boots will be enough to keep Tino healthy. They'll find an easy tier 1 mid-tower as well. I mean, Kukuys, they're having a lot of trouble actually defending these objectives. Well, I say objectives, they've only taken one, but it's quite clear that they do not feel comfortable trying to force fights to defend these tier 1 towers. And I guess in fairness, it is quite hard when you're up against a Tidehunter and a Pangolier at the same time, but I don't know, it's definitely a bit of a slower start here for Kukuys, as you've got a 4k advantage now the way of Execration. Certainly not where you want to be standing now as the Dire side. I mean, mind you, they've got some core items to build up to before they do start to get active, like Cox is still trying to go for the Aghanim Scepter, so Drums of Slom will be up sometime soon. You've got a Blink to come out on a bot. Even the Witch's Blade on Armel could be very, very important to actually start trying to get aggressive. But Execration, for now, they feel like they're well and truly in control of this game one.
Yeah, and they've done a great job just in the Vision game. Again, all these, even just the sentries on mid, right? The Ghost Walk plays for Armel aren't that easy. They'll find some isolation on Tino at the very least.
Can they actually burst him down, though? I mean, Tino's a pretty tanky boy. He's got plenty of one charges as well. Make it 20, in fact, as he could pop the Ravage, and does do so now with the Chain Frost. Oh, it's going to be a mess here for Kukuys.
Oh my god.
Oh, 3 down already. Here comes the 4th. Armel's gone. Yeah, you could kind of see that coming, John. You know, it just... I was sitting there like, they don't have the damage for this Tidehunter. There's no way.
No.
He's got a casual cloak. He's got the Vladimir's up. There's no way they're going to kill the Tide that easily.
A little bit optimistic from the Kukuys, and they kind of just let Tino have that free lane. This is the consequence of that free lane up top for Tino. All of that pressure was coming out elsewhere. Again, the Tidehunter just kind of camped top and kept farming, even while a bot himself would try to make a rotation on the Tiny. And because none of those rotations pan out for Kukuys, there's no trade-off, right? Like, you just get this free farm on Tino. He's starting to get into the aura game. Once that full pipe is up, bursting down these heroes with your Tiny just becomes a little bit of a tougher prospect with any of your heroes. Right? Like, the Tiny physical output just doesn't come online that quick any longer. And we saw this yesterday with a pause 1 and pause 2 Tiny. It's almost the same story. Once a pipe is up on the enemy team, your blink timing just gets thrown out the window. Your burst potential disappears. You will have to go back and farm and try to build into more of the right-click Tiny, or the emphasis on the right-click Tiny. Maybe go for the Conda anyhow, but it's just such a slow process. And for the side of Kukuys, they're losing a lot of map control off the back of it. They've got not a lot of forward vision to try to sneak around, again, in terms of plays. They do at least have their Ags fully finished up on Cox, that they have invested a lot of free space to the Beastmaster to get that done. But I don't think the side of Execration minds at all, considering, again, the fact that Pipe is pretty much set to go on Tino. In fact, it should be flying out now as well. So the fully completed Pipe into the Ags timing of Beastmaster also ruins that, with all of the damage output you were wanting from Cox with the Drums of Islam. Mitigated severely now as well. They will try again onto Shanks here, though.
Give it a crack, but there's more TPs incoming to try and help out here. Is well, Shanks, Lewis still going. Do find Jewel. It's another failed attempt here from Kukuys to get anything done, as it seems like Execration just constantly have their number. Keep in mind, while all these fights have been happening, like Akashi's been free farming. Yeah, he joins that last fight we just saw, but at this stage he might just go for a tier 2 top tower. He's got the Metamorphosis, he's got the Manta, he's got a Siege Creep. Could certainly try to force a Glyph here from Kukuys and see if they do want to pop it. But Akashi, yeah, he'll just stick around. Tier 2 tower. Eventually we'll back out, but that tier 2 looks as good as dead, as Lewis in the meantime finding Ponyo. So the Phoenix dropping once again. Yeah, I'm just not seeing it from Kukuys. Like, they've got the Ags up now on Cox, but it feels like they've lost so much control of this game that it may not matter.
That they have. Top tier 2 ends up falling anyhow, just like you mentioned there, Mikey. And again, it's just a matter of the timings for Kukuys. You got the Ags at around the same time the Beastmaster got Pipe, even if you get this blink up and running on Cox. As long as Tino is around, again, your burst damage just isn't there. We've seen them attempt, even onto the Lina. Doesn't even pan out for that Lina 4. And for the side of Kukuys, being 9k behind with this kind of tempo draft doesn't feel great. Roll onto Cox now as well.
They do. Cox in danger once again. Does get the roar off onto Lewis, but is it really going to matter? Probably not. Cox now forced to fight this one out and can't really do much. Oh boy. What's even scarier, John, I'm looking at Shanks in this support Lina. He's always got an Ags up.
Yeah.
Like,
he's at the same net worth of Armel. Like, that's how rough this game has been.
That's pretty bad.
That gets terrifying. You've got the slow burn damage. You've got the Flame Cloak active with all of that spell amp on the slow burn. It's painful, man. And because you went for Ags Rush on your Beastmaster, you have no pipe of your own. Right? Because of that slower lane for Cox, because of the fact you had no ancient stacks, you don't have protection for that Lina with the damage coming in. And again, it just throws off these timings from the Kukuys off. Even if they were trying to try a big 5-man team fight, I don't think they have the synergy to do stuff like protect the egg properly. Ponyo is just a sitting duck no matter where he puts that supernova down to try to deny area control. You do have attack speed even on your support Lina just because it's a Lina. You still have the value point in Fiery Soul anyhow, leading to a little bit of a quicker takedown on the egg. We'll just have to surrender that bot tier 1. And they're still keen to go on the side of Exit. There's really nothing to stop them. Have the Metamorphosis up. You had the Demon Seal ready in Akashi, and we've seen the effect of that on a free siege onto tier 3s if you have room. Love the forward vision here as well from Exit, just watching that top jungle. And they are set to still defend tier 1s, even 18 minutes in.
Oh, Mel, he's already been caught. Just not reacting to the Blink Dagger of Lewis. And Armel A is just as good as gone. Shanks to take the kill for himself, which will leave him with about 600 gold till he has the full Ags up now on the support Lina. And yeah, it just keeps getting worse and worse here for Kukuys. It's really starting to feel like there's not much of an entry back into the game. Like this, you've got to pos one tiny. You know what I mean? It just, usually I'd look towards their carry. I'd say, okay, their carry's at least farming. You know, you've got some faith in that. But it's a pos one tiny, John. And he's nowhere near the farm of Tino or Akashi.
No. It's just too far behind. It just goes back to, again, missing this impact with the blink. Tino just getting way too free of game. Like, look at that Avalanche toss. It does nothing to Tino. He didn't even pop the pipe active. Like, there's no barrier. It's just no damage whatsoever onto this front line Tidehunter. And the side of Execration really doesn't need to commit much. They are still ready to go. They've got Ravage. They've got even the Dead in the Water Anchor ready to leash anyone up. They'll try to smoke out on the side of Kukuys. Again, no forward vision here. All the vision in the world from the side of Exa doesn't quite spot the smoke, but they know something's up. And I just don't know what angle you're looking for. A 5v5 does not look favorable for the side of Kukuys whatsoever.
DML, they might at least find a Lich, but Tino's just running right forward with the Ravage available. He wants to force a fight. They'll roar up Lewis on the side, but he's got a pipe available there from Tino, so he's going to survive through all the output as Cox is the one to get bursted down. Jewel also in trouble. Jewel going to drop, and it's another failed team fight. Here for Kukuys is Lewis. He's looking for even more now. He's going to catch Ponyo on the Phoenix. He'll actually leave him for Tino to finish off. But eventually does have to come back and get it done himself, it looks like. 3 down for nothing, John. Kukuys, they've got no fight in them right now. They just can't take a fight.
They really can't take a big 5v5. Your best case scenario for Kukuys is finding a straggler on Execration, finding the backline, let's say isolating away Shanks. But even that just feels impossible. Execration is just looking to 5-man, looking to push that advantage. Again, you don't have the forward vision on the side of Kukuys to spot stragglers anyhow. Like, they've got this one forward ward on the bot jungle, but they can't really cross the river. They've got this one ward right near their tier 2 up top. But the side of Exa has just bailed on that area for some time now. And you're hitting some massive spikes for Exa on the supports. The Blink's up now for good old CML. So the Blink... The Chain Frost is available. He just needs a shard to really get the solo pickoffs going by himself. The Ag's fully done on Shanks with that Flame Cloak. The Spell Amp plus Slow Burn is just hellish to deal with. And he's just going for the full Lina core build now. Going back for the Travels, going for the Kaya next. They've got Roshan opened up. And there's just no play potential for the side of Kukuys. The best thing you can hope for, again, is probably at this point a high ground play where you get a big toss back from a bot, like on the Tiny. And that... When you're this far behind, that's all you can hope for. Either a big solo pickoff from Execration playing recklessly apart, or just managing to drag one hero back, breaking up this 5-man of Exa on the high ground somehow, and kind of bursting the game open that way. When both of those options just seem very difficult to find, considering the circumstances here, Mike.
I mean, it certainly is right now, John. The hunt continues as well. Looks like they have got the Dead in the Water here for Tino, so now the Phoenix can't even Icarus dive away. Shanks picking up another kill, now godlike on a support Lina. 9-2-3 is his score. And this is, I mean, you've basically got this Lina core now. It's not even a support anymore. Is Lewis, they're trying to jump the Pango, but he's just taking no damage. He's got an Aegis anyway, John. Even if they took him out the first time, chances are they weren't fighting him a second time.
No.
Again, with this draft of Kukuys, I like to look at the bright side of everything, but a Bart needs so much farm to be a scary carry at this point. Like, we're talking so much farm. And he is well and truly off of that farm. Like, he's nowhere near.
And again, talking about Shanks, he has eclipsed all the cores on the side of Kukuys and farm. He was right around Lewis's farm just a moment ago. He's got his travels up on this quote-unquote support Lina. And Kaya, again, isn't going to be too far off. For the side of Kukuys, the kind of timings you're talking about in the bot are just, it feels impossible in this kind of game. He's a part away from his BKB. He's trying to go into the Silver Edge to have a way of sneaking around these fights. I would say a Daedalus is maybe when that Fate starts to come back in the Tiny carry, because that's when we've seen this hero normally pop off in games where it does carry. It just kind of pops off when you get the Daedalus timing up. But there's just no room for that for a bot. There's really no room to farm considering the start. A little bit of a cheeky move out from Tino. Misses the Dead in the Water, sadly, but it will find a nice free tier 2. All outer towers gone for Kukuys, and with the Aegis still standing for 2 minutes 40 here, there's nothing really to hold back the side of Exit. They're not even committing all their heroes out for this. They're still splitting up on the hunt. Cox trying to split push. Might not be the safest here.
I mean, Shanks is around. Shanks will not have the opportunity to get him this time. Cox does back off the right moment, but I mean, they're just desperately trying to keep this game going as best they possibly can. They do successfully defend the T3 tower as well, so you did have the Glyph forced out to make sure that happened. Now a full Aghanim Scepter available on Lewis to make matters even worse for Kukuys. And you really are starting to approach that time where you take one more good team fight for Execration, it's just high ground. In fact, they might just go now. They've got all their spells up plus 2 minutes on the Aegis. So it's like, why even just not go? Like they can't fight you, even in their own base.
There's nothing to hold you back. Kashi does commit the meta and start poking onto that high ground. There's just no backline threat. Like, even if a bot were to jump in with his BKB, try to get the toss back, the follow-through damage just isn't there. You're really going to have to watch yourself. They'll try with a smoke, Kukuys. They need something big in the back, but look at Execration spacing. They're allowing the illusion to do the work. They're allowing Tino to soak up all the space up front. It's so hard to find this kind of opening into the rear that the side of the Kukuys desperately need to even have hope to win a fight.
I mean, they're trying to find anybody, but they're all smoked up behind Tino. And Tino's not the answer either. Lewis. Oh, Abad, he was pretty deep in. They're going to make the jump in now, finding the Tiny. Abad will at least BKB up, but he really cannot stick around here. He'll back off eventually. Ravage will be committed to ensure Ponyo will go down, but he'll buy back. Maybe without the Ravage, you could hope to try and take a fight, but maybe not so much anymore, because Cox has been bursted down by Shanks, and now Jewel also in trouble. They'll try for Akashi. Akashi, he'll get the Sunder off in time. He'll barely survive. There's 2 down, 3 if you count the buyback that was committed here from Ponyo. Lewis almost going down, but that's just the Aegis. It's going to be a reset now for the Pangolier, as they will find Armel here on the Invoker. Armel will drop. No buyback available on him. Tino looking for more, has jumped right onto a Bart. And a Bart can't even toss them into the fountain. GG's called. Game 1 for the side of Execration. And oh, there it is, Tino. That's my boy. He knows the voice lines to use. Well done, Tino.
Oh, yeah. Very
He's
well
the
done,
MVP.
Tito. Oh, absolutely. You know, I'm not even memeing. That move to block off Cox's camp really impacted the tempo that you were looking here from the side of Kukuys in Game 3, but we'll have to see if they can sort their lanes, because again, you're up against Exe, you're up against 4 players that have been together for a very long time at this point, almost, for the most part, a year with Lewis, but for like 3 of their players, it's been, what, 2 years now, 2 to 3 years that Execration has kept the same roster for the most part, and all of that experience just leads to this laning dynamics that are just stronger. So we'll have to see. I don't know why Lewis is calling Joel a maniac. That is literally the translation.
Okay.
It is a Filipino slang for pervert, so I don't know why you would call him that.
Okay. I mean, I believe Groomify are playing later, so, you know, maybe getting a bit too
They're playing right now.
Oh, they are playing right now. Excuse me. You can go watch that game if you want. Other stream. Anyway. 4-man smoke here from the side of Execration. They'll try to wrap around through the Radiant jungle. once again, neither side is anywhere near each other. We saw this in game 1 as well. They were looking, but they could not find each other. Maybe Execration could find them in the mid lane, though, if they get lucky enough.
Yeah. This time around, this long flank around from Exa also doesn't end up blocking anything like a camp. So they're not getting cheeky. They're not going to be trying to slow down Cox too hard this time around. As a Dawnbreaker, maybe those camps aren't the most important in comparison anyhow. Will just end up being a 2-for-2 trade. And because they're still smoked up on Exa, this is very clearly a little bit of a trap for Kukuys, as, you know, you've got the Dawnbreaker. You need to kind of spot that literally no one's showing on the map. You know, you're going to be a bit cautious. That's one of the funny things for that thing, right? Like, no one's showing. Oh, they're gone. Oh,
Bart's going to run into him. CMO and Shanks will say hello. They're going to force the TP out from our bristleback. So they get a little bit of something out of that. You know, chances are they aren't going to kill a Bart anyway in the next couple minutes. But, you know, they get a TP. It's good enough. Mid lane, of course, Lewis going to be up against Armel. This matchup can work either way. It is a little bit hard to tell which way it should go. I still think the advantage, of course, is the way of Armel. The Monkey King Jingu Mastery shouldn't really be able to be procced that easily, assuming Armel does have Blink up. But apart from that, I think Lewis still will have a decent enough time. So we even saw CML leaving that Satyr Banisher around to mana drain, the Satyr Mindstealer to mana drain the Quap once before he brings it back to the top lane.
I think that's a nice cheeky play from CML and does show you the power, of course, of that Shen if you do manage to kind of swing around. Just wasting some mana on Quap. Yeah, I think that's fair. Because there's not a lot of mana on Armel, and he's very reliant on Scream of Pain to zone out Lewis. Because once you're not, it's like a puck matchup. You can run down, you can try to build up into the Jingu. Level 1 Blink is not the longest cooldown in the world. It does sacrifice the creep, but he completely drains Armel. He should have his bottle flying out at the least to start to stabilize a bit. But again, if you drain Quap's mana, if she pops out the Screams and you're not zoning out Lewis hard enough, once he has Wraith Band 1 Brown Boot, he's happy there.
Oh, Bart securing first blood here up against Shanks. Tino not looking very safe either. Does have 1 charger, so will be okay to survive. But they do secure first blood on this bristleback, and that's going to be a very exciting time already for a Bart.
Yeah, a big stark difference compared to game 1. Again, off to a smooth start. It does cost all of his mana, and he doesn't have 1 charges left. So he doesn't really have that much more presence in this lane. And for the most part, as a Zeus, Shanks, as long as he drains his mana, he's pretty happy getting reset, even though he does feed first blood. So you do have some play potential here to start to punish on the side of Exe if they overstep. Again, like you said there with the Zeus, Lightning Bolt is a pain in the ass in the lane. And Bot does have the value point, at least in Bristleback. But again, no mana to really threaten. He has, what, maybe 1 or 2 Cold Sprays after a couple of wand charges come in. Not really the most annoying thing in the world. You can take a gander at the top lane, which has been a little bit slower, but you are getting some good form out for Akashi. Cox just trying to focus in on CML's creep every time it comes out. This lane for the Magnus is pretty passive. There is some play potential for sure in terms of skewering, and he does skewer Joel away to get himself a nice Lotus, but the kill potential maybe not as high. You don't have a standard sort of stun to try to lead you into a skewer back. The Cox is fairly tanky, and they do have some good interrupts on hand for the line, as they will try to isolate CML here.
He'll eat a Fairy Fire, but he's been blocked up by Akashi, so CML's still actually going to die. Nice pickup here for the side of Kukuys, finding another top lane. And Akashi obviously unable to help out. It's the classic Chen. You know, even as annoying as it is with the creeps, it can be very easy to pick off, as Cox now getting skewered into the tier 1 tower. Still a very tanky boy with that bracer, but here comes CML to try and help out with a blood grenade. And it's not really enough. Akashi did not want to go for the chase.
A little bit too far back. That does put the lane at least in a mildly awkward position. You don't really have regen on hand left. You have 1 Tango on Cox. You do have a salve ready to fly out from Joel. There is something to kind of try to reset. But you are going to have to, again, kind of show some respect. They do manage to at least get a pull. So they are starting to slow Akashi down just a tad bit. But CML does have access to the camps, and he does get the Chain Lightning creep for himself. So he does have 2 really good sources of poke. Still the Mana Burn, Satyr Mindstealer, and this Harpy Stormcrafter on hand. That's enough to kind of just zone out freely to give your to give your Magnus some space. Heck, he's rotating them onto mid again. He's just looking to constantly apply pressure on Armel. And again, for Armel, with the brown boots and the Wraith Band up, Lewis is starting to run down this lane. It becomes almost like a quap lane. You don't have that much play if Lewis can just commit, run in, dodge your spots with the Mischief. He's just a menace with the damage he has. Still, Tino's starting to drop a little bit low with the deep dive.
He certainly is. Meanwhile, Jewel goes down top lane. Bart still really playing with fire with that deep dive in. Shank's now looking for a potential chase. Will probably not have the damage though. Just have level 2 lightning bolt available, but Bart still plenty of HP available to play with. Tino can't really help out as Bart still thinking about diving in, but may have cost his own life now as the chase is on. The cheeky tornado at the end trying to just pick off Bart, but it's not going to prove to be enough. That'll allow Tino a bit of space here to farm that bottom lane underneath his T1 tower. Bart, though, still really just playing on the edge here. There's no regen available to speak of. He actually brings out a sal for himself, so he's still going to be alright.
Gets to stay in the lane, but again, is starting to drop a little bit low in mana. Has maybe 4 uses out from the quilts. You still are fairly healthy on mana here for Shanks as well. So one misstep can lead to some aggression. A little bit of emphasis onto the mid lane as the 6-minute runes are starting to come in, and a quick pause from Boss Armel. Trying to fix things up, and there you go. Tino getting the good voice lines out.
The best voice lines, Jonathan. We do have the power in spawning in 10 seconds. Very important for Armel to try and secure. I mean, it's been a bit of a rough lane. Like, you look at the CS difference. 35 and 16 for Lewis compared to the 25 and 6 of Armel. And which, that is the one strength that MK does have in this mid lane is CS-wise, it will probably dominate. So, bit of a rough time already for Armel. It's not the end of the world, though. He's still having an okay time. He is a little bit behind in the XP department, but should still be able to hit his level 6 rather soon. He just won't have it for this 6-minute power rune timing, sadly. So, you know, you might run into a situation where you would have really liked to have that Sonic Wave, but he won't have it available. He should still be able to secure, though, I'd say. You know, blinks up, he should still be able to get the power rune for himself. Depending on whether he gets lucky and it spawns top. He'll even have Ponyo coming in from the bottom. So it looks like they should be able to secure this for him.
Go when ready, then wait, mouse. Alright, Cox. Fix that. It was sorted. Yeah, it's... I'm just fascinated that into the Monkey King they still pick this quap. Because, it feels like almost the same shortcomings as Puck into Monkey King. You are seeing, again, Lewis just kind of crush the lane quite hard. And the 16 denies really hurt. Even though, again, for Armel, half a level away isn't too rough for that quap. But it is significant in terms of trying to look for some turnabout play. For the side of Kukuys, again, a couple of things to be happy about is just stronger laning presence. Bot's been able to play on edge. We're seeing a little bit more coming out from Cox as well, getting some punishment out on top lane. You are still having a rough time for Armel, but again, your foundations in the side lanes are kind of building up. And we're talking how important it is for, say, a bot in particular to hit this Ag's timing. It's not going to be the quickest in the world, but he's not being held back too badly. So the Ag should still be coming out at maybe the 10-12 minute mark, and you will still be happy to play around this Bristleback at that point, because the side of Exa have to be the ones a little bit cautious about the Bristleback active, considering how much damage output a bot can have, especially with the Seeing Red on hand as well. There's a lot to have to consider as we start to approach slowly into the 10-minute mark. I do like the potential for the side of Kukuys to rotate, and just having a Lion on hand feels really good to just have the Earth Spike plus the Hex down the line, help pin some heroes down, help to try to jump this Monkey King, let's say, before he can start to tree dance around. You don't even have the value point in tree dance, mind you, on Lewis just yet. Again, emphasizing that strong leading presence first. And the one thing you might be a little bit concerned about, though, is how much Akashi is free farming on this mag. Like, he has been left relatively free up top outside of the one time that they managed to kill off CML. The Magnus itself hasn't been under too much pressure. The Power Treads are flying out. The Echo Saber isn't too far off. And the flash farm potential for the Magnus is just sky high with the Empower. Same thing goes for a bot, though. Yeah, farming out camps isn't too painful with the Quilt Sprays, but you do have to, again, kind of be cautious. I can see Akashi maybe gunning for Echo Saber Blink and to quick BKB or something like a Shadowblade Silver Edge if they were actually concerned about the Bristle as well. If they feel like they can't kind of try to fight a bot into facing forward, you can still opt for that break on your pause 1 on top. And things can still feel really dicey for the Bristleback at that point, even without, again, a natural source of break. So a lot of things going on. You know, stronger presence from Kukuys in the laning phase. We'll just have to see if they can capitalize and, you know, just kind of maybe help Armel recover. That's your one hurting point right now here for this poor old Quap.
It's been a bit of a tough time. Hopefully he'll reconnect soon so we can get this this game back and underway.
The lesson for you is never try.
Execration not having the start they had last game. It felt like last game was a little bit of a better start, but it's still a matter of their lanes are just winning. You know, like their safe lanes won outright, their mid lanes won outright. The bottom lane's pretty even as well. Like Tino, he didn't have the best start to the game. You know, he did have his Shank Zeus die, but overall still keeping on parity with the Bart, so not really struggling that much. And obviously we know that the Bristleback's going to have a pretty rough time later on. As soon as Doom's up, things become infinitely more challenging for this Bristleback. Obviously it's not up yet, but he'll get there eventually. So hopefully Armel will reconnect soon. I'm not even sure why he's disconnected this time, but sure he'll be back anytime now.
Yeah. Do you reckon a bot's just dancing these pauses as we do get Armel reconnecting? Do you reckon he's just jamming out as we've seen on his streams?
Probably. Just jamming. Here we go. 6-minute power runes.
You get lucky?
No,
you don't.
It's going to be bottom. Armel gets it. I mean, that's lucky for Armel at least, because he kind of needed it.
And he did. Regen's not the biggest one in the world, though. I feel like he would have been super pleased with amp damage to try to run down. Even a haste to maybe reposition himself. They are still trying with a nice hoof stomp here from the Centaur Conqueror, but just not enough follow-through just yet to really force in. Heck, even popping the Fortify to ensure that they can try to angle in for a deeper dive. But Lewis is just playing really defensively. Shows a lot of respect. They did show the supports on hand. They're trying to swing around elsewhere now with Ponyo, trying to poke Shanks away. But I think you're honestly pretty happy on the side of Exit to get this space out. Right, Tino's farming. You're getting free space for Akashi. Lewis isn't really under threat. They are checking into the triangle at the very least. No stacks really to contest. And they're starting to collapse down bot here. A lot of commitment for the 7-minute rune, but should be able to find one at the very least.
And they've moved in. They've got Tino here. Tino, not looking like he has a good way out of this, is going to drop. Meanwhile, Ponyo does lose his life top, or rather bottom lane. Lewis does pick him up as Armel, now looking for a TP away, does make it. So happy days. They'll get away with a very strong kill in the Doom of Tino. It only cost them an Enchantress. So you've got to be pretty happy with that kind of trade. And I think any team picking off Tino is always going to be a really good thing, because that man does tend to pop off if you give him the space and time for it.
And he does. Some space now up top for a move on Akashi. But not really able to connect.
He's going to be okay.
Just a little bit too far for Joel. The commitment was there. Instant skewer back as well from Akashi was pretty nice to stall. At least they get the deny. I think the big thing for Kukuys in that last movement out is they find that big kill in Tino a little bit disappointing. They don't manage to steal the Wisdom Rune. And Exa did still manage to go 1-for-1 on that. So you're happy enough to have this steady approach for Shanks into 6. Steady approach for CML into his level 6 as well. They're looking to scout around. They've got that point in Tree Dance now for Lewis. So you can start to go on the hunt with that Simian Stride. He does have the Orb Corrosion and Rate Band, more than enough to at least pin down some of these squishier supports if they're out of position here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to spot him though. Solar Guardian in as well. Ooh. Lewis maybe giving up his own life. This could be a huge kill, and they are going to get him. It's Armel finding another kill here on the Quap, and yeah, these kills, they do start to add up. Armel, he was having a tough time, but now second in net worth on the map, and they've got a T1 mid tower for their trouble.
And be able to clear it out. Really good usage of the ward while it was still there as well, providing that vision. on Lewis, on him just jumping around. A little bit curious for him as well to just walk around in mischief instead of just dancing around the tree line into a different approach angle. And just that little cheeky play just costing him. 4-2, still the 1k lead on Exe, but you are starting to even things out here on the side of Kukuys. Just start to fight.
Well, RP out as well. They caught the bristle. Very nice setup here from Akashi. They'll leave the bristle to just casually die, as Jewel also getting caught out here by Lewis. And of course, Abat can do nothing to survive through the Doom. He is just as good as dead. And that's what you wanted to see, is even Armel's courier gets picked off. That's a bit of a shame. The diadem was on that. And Armel himself might get picked off, as he never gets a Sonic Wave off in time. So all of a sudden, Kukuys, they were having a great old time, and suddenly they just dropped 3 bodies.
3 big bodies as well. Just losing, again, this bristleback, that tempo that you're looking for in the Ag's timing, getting stalled out just a tad bit more. You're seeing some activities start to come out from Akashi. Echo Saber's not too far off, so a little bit more damage as well from that mag once he is set to go. I mean, you find that tier 1 tower in exchange for Kukuys. It's massive if they can start to set some forward vision, which they haven't really been able to do so. They are trying. We managed to find a good Invis rune on Ponyo, but they don't really have anyone to play with him. In fact, there is already some wards revealed by the creep. A little bit of quick wards. Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis jumping in for Ponyo. Solar Guardian going to help out there. Lewis maybe getting a little bit too excited, but he does still have a barrier to play with, but it's not going to matter. Armel out with the Sonic Wave will get the job done. And Ponyo, I mean, maybe just baiting in Lewis there, who really just wants to keep going for kills, this Monkey King. He has not stopped. Every single time he sees a support, he just happily Primal Springs in.
And you can't really fault him. Again, they know they want to play pretty high tempo on the side of Exe. He's the core that can get that done, because Tino's going to be hanging back to farm when Doom's not up. Akashi's just going to be trying to build up as well until you hit maybe Echo Saber Blink or Echo Saber BKB. And you have that safety net. So it's down to the Monkey King to try to get this aggressive play. The punishment is good, and it's led to the point where Armel is almost at equal net worth parity with Lewis. He has managed to equalize the game after a little bit of a slower start. There is some room now as well for the side of Kukuys to start to play off this Enchantress push. They've got the Dark Troll Summoner. They've got the little Skellies pushing in up top. And they are starting to make some steady progress. Akashi is keeping up the defense. Does show that Echo Saber on hand. Don't really have the aggressive angles in, as Lewis is just a little bit too far out. This is also really important space, again, to recover on a bot. And Zanti, and he's been sitting down bot in the Bristle, been farming up into the Ags. Tino does have Doom. They are on the hunt now to try to play off of that.
They do commit it immediately. No hesitation. As soon as they see a bot, they want to just commit and go for it. You've got Lewis here now as well. Boundless Strike going to connect, ensnare up onto the Bristle, and the bot is just dead. Another easy kill as Execration looking for more. Lewis got to be just slightly cautious though, not to get his tree chopped, but he's going to be alright. He'll back out successfully. And Abat's, he's having a pretty rough time now. That's 2 deaths in a row. It's putting a pretty big lag on his Aghanim Scepter, which was actually at a pretty quick pace, but not so much now. And we all know with this Bristleback, like, the Axe is a huge timing, but you know, if the timing's too slow, it can be pretty rough to get off.
And it can be. You're going to be soaking up a lot of space, not like you aren't already. And again, the entire team's just going to have to wait. Heck, a bot's still looking to play down bot. It is only Shanks playing poke, and no threat of Doom this time. But Lewis is hanging around the area. He does have some damage to play with, and they will play safe on Kukuys instead. 4k lead out for Execration. Again, feeling nice and strong already. Big smoke out from Armel and Joel. They do have burst damage on hand if they can find an angle in. The issue is no forward vision again from Kukuys. It's just not something they've been able to really get done in any of their games. Spots no one up top. So just a little bit of a try your luck smoke. Instead, it's a bot who's in the firing line again. Doesn't get fully chased though. Objective is still there for them to take, and they can just easily gun for that tier 1. Bit of a missed opportunity for the Kukuys. They'll trade tier 1 top, forward mid. But if you're Exe, you're more than happy to take that kind of trade. You haven't played up top anyhow. Akashi's starting to show up. He's only 150 away from his own Blink Dagger on the Magnus with the Echo Saber up. And that's the key timing, where this 5v5 starts to line up for Exe. if you're not too careful on the side of Kukuys, this is where things can start to get pretty explosive for Exa if they do decide to take some engagements here.
Yeah, absolutely. Karsh is going to make his way through the mid lane. He won't run into Armel yet. Looks like he's actually going to avoid Armel altogether. Smoke out though. Execration as 3. Tino has Doom back up, but he's not with the team at the moment. He's just farming up north. If they can find Armel, they'd be very happy with that. They are going to spot him eventually. Armel just farming the triangle at the moment. Thunder God's Wrath going to give the vision. Here comes the chase. The Lewis misses the Boundless. Oh, that's a pretty big whiff. Thankfully, Akashi did cancel the RP before it fully committed. And a bit of a shame there with the Boundless miss.
Yeah, would have been a big pick off to slow that tempo out from Armel. Missed opportunity. So the smoke from Exit also falling flat. They did pump the Thunder Gods to scout out for that one as well. They do at least get a D-ward for their trouble. So movement up top here from Cox and Ponyo, as they do manage to hex up Akashi, but this pause is a little bit awkward. Might give some time for Exit to try to find an angle in.
Oh, it's a quick one. Kashi has Skewer in 1 second. It looks like they don't want to continue for the fight anyways. Akashi's actually going to turn right back around and just chase down Jewel. Gets a slow from the Echo Saber, and Jewel certainly just dead. You've also got Blink up as well soon on Akashi, so he has the RP to play with. Jewel will go down finally. They've got the Dawnbreak with the Doom out. And of course, nothing that he can do either, as Cox will just drop. Execrate, I mean, they're still just in a very powerful position. RP's still available, keep in mind, as well for Akashi, so odds are he might look for another kind of solo pickoff if he sees it. But things still going very, very smoothly now as a 5k net worth advantage for Execration. And Kukuys, again, they had their little moments where they looked good, but it's starting to fall apart once again.
And it is. I mean, again, they had a decent angle onto Akashi. It's just a little bit too split up, right? Like, if you maybe had Jewel a little bit closer to get that control right on Cox jumping in, maybe that story's a little bit different. They're still trying for some aggressive movement, but trying to catch out Lewis is a tall order, to say the least. And it doesn't really amount to much with Monkey. Oh!
Yeah, they're just going to take the easy one. Just take Jewel. Jewel's going to buy a little bit of time for himself. Not really going to matter, though. Lewis will happily just secure for himself. It's just the thing. Like, the Execration, it's another game where they're just in complete control. You know? They can just make these small little plays, go back to farming. They know that they have a great draft for the late game as well. Bart really just has not taken off at all yet on this Bristleback. Like, he's had the Ags for a while now, but you're not ready yet. You need the Bloodstone, you need the Shards up. So the timing's still going to be maybe 5 to 10 minutes away at minimum, and that's not a good sign.
No, certainly not. It's just a lot of space still necessary. And again, this feels like the consistent issue we've seen from this Kukuys lineup. Just doesn't feel like their timings ever come together. And feels like the other teams just play a lot tighter. They know their own big power spikes. Their smokes are more successful. They get vision across the map, whereas Kukuys... Again, it's a pretty dark map for Kukuys. They have defensive wards down bot. Nothing across the river. No way of trying to find an isolated target. And that just leads to no kill. Still, a little bit of a jump forward.
Certainly is. Jewel gonna get caught. Ponyo. Not too safe either, as they just immediately commit the Doom once again onto a Bart who shows his face. Wukong's command gonna be a little bit off the mark. Sonic Wave gonna push them back. Lewis still chasing. But they're gonna miss out on a Bart this time. He is gonna be okay to retreat with the rest of his squad. So the only kill that really goes the way of Execration is the Lion kill. But it just kind of shows you, like, when Tino has Doom available, you just can't fight. Like, there's just no fighting.
Yeah, you can't afford to. A nice cheeky Sonic Wave to push, at the very least, Tino onto the cliff, so cutting off the Doom from trying to chase down, means they just kind of have to give up. There is a window of opportunity here for the side of Kukuys if they did want to play aggressive off the back, but they're not really clumped up for it. Knowing that there's no Doom, knowing there's no Wukongs as well would have been quite nice. Knowing there's no Bailout with Hand of God on cooldown as well. And this is kind of your moment to shine. It's just, where do you go? Cox? He's the one kind of picked up here.
It's going to be hard to lock him down, though. They don't really have anything to really commit here for the Dawnbreaker, so he's going to be alright.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Armel, skewered back by Akashi. RP is available. He'll commit it as well. Just waiting for the blink committal from Armel. Solar Guardian going to fly in to try and help him out. Armel's still in big trouble. Still gets a blink away. Cox going to be okay to boot.
A bit optimistic for the RP and trying to look for the lockdown on the Quap. Damage not quite there solo for Akashi yet. Need a little bit more, but is at least forcing out stuff like the Solar Guardian. Solar Guardian in exchange for RP is not bad, because you will have Doom up a little bit earlier than Solar Guardian will be. So it provides an angle out instead for Tino. Again, try to play, try to catch out, and destroy this Bristle, and destroy the follow-through that you might be looking here from the side of Kukuys. The Kukuys, for their part, getting a little bit sharper this game. They do manage to take care of some tier 1s. They finally get some vision across the map, right behind where that tier 1 bot would have been on the Dire side. So a little bit forward vision to try to scout, maybe giving him info on some smokes. Smoke does come out. That one was not within ward vision, though. And this could lead into a nice one again onto that Bristleback down bot. I mean, Doom is back up. No Solar Guardian to play with. Bot, he senses something wrong, though.
He does. We'll retreat at the right time. Though Lewis is going to be spotted here by that Dawnbreaker facet. Or innate, I should say. So Bart definitely on the right kind of idea, knowing that they were incoming. But Bart does have the, does he have the Bloodstone coming out? Or did he just switch items?
He switched out for the BKB instead. Just knowing how important it would be to play into all of this control. Into all of this magic damage really coming out from the sides. And just the threat of just being slowed down, kited around, does feel necessary. Mind you, it does take away his forward presence. It does take away that synergy with the Bristleback active. But he doesn't have too much of a choice. Oh.
Oh, RP committed. He found 2 targets. Akashi. Solar Guardian still going to save Armel and Ponyo as now the Sonic Wave. Akashi and Tino both gone. The Solar Guardian, it's been making it so hard to follow up. Cox will save the day once again. I'll tell you, it's just so many times we've seen this game where the RP's committed and it's a nice one. But the Solar Guardian, it's doing too much work. And this is before the Axe is up. It's just about to come up, in fact, for Cox.
And big issue for Exa is that they had the right idea to try to play with this Doom on Tino while Solar Guardian was on cooldown. The fact that they didn't find that playdown bot and they still forced this fight after causes so many issues. They know how troublesome that Solar Guardian is. Tino did not manage to get the Doom off before getting stuck in the middle of that engagement. And your own sustain and Hand of God isn't quite as strong. You don't even have level 2 Hand of God just yet on CML. You're not able to mitigate some of that output. Net Ripley drops the 3k here for Execration. Roshan opens up. And they do have the damage for this one with the Nasal Goose spam coming in here. Not going to take too long for the Rush to fall down. Exa still aware of this going on. They did get the scan. It's not the quickest in the world. They have time. They still have Doom, but no RP here to try to play.
They do not. Jump in. Akashi will take down Ponyo. Now Abart, he's been doomed up. Still trying for the Roshan play. The Aegis on the deck, and Abart does pick it up. Abart barely gets it in time. Just before he dies. Zakashi now going to drop his own life as Armel will find 2. Oh, had they not gotten that Aegis, it could have been a completely different fight. But with the Aegis barely picked up by the Bristle, Kukuys managed to make it work, as they'll even find Shanks now down at that bottom side. And I'll tell you, Armel, he's having a much, much better game on this Queen of Pain.
He is, after a little bit of a slower start. I think one big thing that caused issues there for Execration was the fact that Lewis was just spotted out in the tree. They didn't manage to get the D ward. There was a nice cliff ward hanging here, a ramp ward hanging here from the side of Kukuys to spot the Monkey King's position. And it meant that jump into the pit was not really backed up by the damage. Like, your damage is kind of coming out from Lewis at this point in the game. Not much so on Akashi just yet. And just quick fingers out from Abbat. Like, that Aegis changed the narrative, so to say. 11 to 12, less than 1k lead for Exa. But you have fully caught up in this Bristle. Number 1 in net worth, Armel number 2. The lead Exa had just completely disappearing. And Execration need to find a way to mitigate this. They need more protection on Tino. He is going for a BKB. I feel like you need a blink on your Doom. You need to be able to jump in and Doom. That's been the main issue. They are relying on Akasha to get like blink RPs, but that doesn't necessarily mean you get the Doom off in the target you'd want. And you get the isolation play you'd want as well. Look at Kukuys, starting to get a little bit more confident. They're smoked, they're across the river. Still no vision really in this area now. Outside of that one ward behind the tier 1 area. But more than enough for them to maybe, again, constantly force the issue onto Exa. RP is back up for Akashi here.
Akashi going to be chased down Armel for now, feeling very confident. You've got Jewel there to block the way as well. Nice hex out into the Earthspike and the Sonic Wave and the finger on top. Akashi just not expecting the Lion rotation from the western side, and it costs him another life. Akashi now desperately needing a BKB to get back into this game, but it is all Kukuys. I mean, they've really taken over now after that last Roshan fight. You look at the net worth graph, and it's pretty much all the way of this Radiant team. And Execration, I mean, they're not out of the game by any stretch. It's still a very close game, but they sure have given up a huge lead.
They have. I think the key issue is, again, just how Exa are trying to take these fights. They're forced to try to focus up bot first. You know, every single time they're trying to run in with Tino dooming up the Bristleback, but it just leaves so much room for Armel to find a better angle in, considering how much he's farmed back in. He's also a very hard target to pin down. You do at least have that BKB up on Tino, so there is some of that early protection online now.
Oh, Doom committed again. Abat, though, he got the BKB. It's okay to back out of there. He will not be dying, that's for sure. Execration, a lot of committal. At least going to find Ponyo to drag back here with his skewer, but they have Solar Guardian coming in. Ponyo's still going to die, but Akashi, he's been caught out. Cox will move in, so will Abat. RP's committed, but there's no follow-up. There's nothing to follow up with here. There's Execration on the retreat, just trying to get the hell out of there. But now, I mean, Kukuys, they're onto the tier 3 tower. They've hit a great spike with their draft. And it's hard to see them being slowed down.
And again, it just boils down to how Execration are being forced to play. They keep having to just come in, bite the bait in the Bristleback because they have no other way of handling it outside of Doom. And you can see just how tricky it is to actually try to burst down a bot at this point with just the Ags and Yasha with a BKB on top. They're still trying.
Tino just trying to venture out for a quick devour. I mean, he got the devour off, but it's a very expensive one, as it will cost his own life. Not very good at all. And with that, Kukuys again just not allowing any space on the map now for Execration to try and farm in, as they're pretty much controlling everything but the ultra southern side. But Lewis is farming the bottom side of the map, but he's not doing enough anymore in this Monkey King. No. You know, he's got a Maelstrom and a BKB, but that's about it.
There's a big lack of damage right now from the side of Exa. You don't have anything to really beef up the hits on Akashi or beef up the hits on Lewis, outside of just trying to empower and hoping for the best. And you need to find a way to compensate. Shanks is trying to go into an Ags on the Zeus, providing some control as well with the Nimbus, some damage presence as well. Your presence now on CML with the Chen is tapering off, and that is the one thing with his hero. Into a late game scenario, this Chen doesn't feel amazing. You just really don't do much. Maybe you toss out some auras, you toss out the Solar Crest, and that's really it. Your impact is just not as high as you're seeing now from Sadie. Enchantress with what she can do with damage output, the Lion as well with the control, and it's all coming together for the side of Kukuys. For Exa, it's starting to come into the point where you're kind of just hoping Akashi doesn't even find RP, just finds a good Harpoon Skewer back onto a prime target, and you kind of just play isolation pickoffs until you start to get an advantage back your way inside of Execration. Easier said than done. Kukuys are almost replicating what Execration was doing last time. For the most part, sticking as a unit, playing together. They spot Tino out.
They do Tino. Solar Guardian not going to land. Shanks, though, is going to get caught here by Armel. So they still end up finding a support Zeus kill here on Shanks. Through the Twin Gates they'll go. They want to head up top, see if anyone's farming that area, but nobody gonna hang around any longer from Execration. I mean, the longer this game goes on, the scarier it can get for Kukuys, though, in fairness, because you do still have an MK mag you have to go up against in the late stage of the game, if it does get to that stage. So you are seeing they are trying to apply a lot of pressure while they still can. Ponyo now going to lose his life to Akashi. There is still like I'm saying, there's still a very scary timing here for Execration. If you give him another, say, 5 to 10 minutes, like one good high ground defense, and suddenly they're back in this.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some big item timings as well. Akashi's own BKB is almost done. He's going into the Silver Edge like we were talking about early in this game as a solution, kind of handle a bot. So that removes some of the pressure on Tino to just doom up the Bristle. He can start to look for probably Armel. It feels like this Quap is now really the big thorn on your side outside of the Solar Guardian coming in. Like her damage output's quite high now on the Quap. With the Shivas plus even just Dagon 1 doing a ton of work here. They do get a good scan out, and Lewis, not the safest.
Oh, big BKB out there. Lewis getting some very quick reaction speed out with that BKB, but he's still dropping ultra fast, and the finger is going to be enough. Tino, he'll pop the Doom out onto Armel, but Armel's just going to try for the quick TP away, and he might just make it. And he does. Tino trying to back away now because about to pop the BKB, and he's just going to go right in for the chase past 4 heroes. But his BKB about to wear off.
Ooh.
There's your RP. There's your skewer. But can they deal with the Bristleback? I think they can. Abart is down. He just got way too excited as they'll lose CML at the least. But Abart going down like that, that's a pretty big deal. Execration, they'll be very happy seeing that.
They will be. Still trying to gun for more. Unfortunately, Akashi doesn't manage to get the blink angle that he wants. But they get a favorable trade. They don't lose Tino. He is forced to doom. But that kill in the Bristle just opens up a lot more. And the timing couldn't have been better. Roshan coming up in a few seconds. They can try to exert some control back on the map. Try to get some forward wards going. Try to clear out some of the wards that were there from the Kukuys as well. And if Execration managed to take this Rosh a little bit cleaner, again, the game swings back their way. You're inching closer and closer towards this Silver Edge for Akashi to, again, soften up that Bristleback a lot better. You are starting to get into the SNY fully done for Lewis for some more frontline presence. Your only issue is just going to be trying to pin down Cox. Like, I'd say at this point, if you can hunt down the Dawnbreaker, play away from where everyone else is playing and just catch a Dawnbreaker out, doom her, and just take the follow-up 4v5, the game actually simplifies this to a huge extent for Exe. The issue is trying to find Cox. I think he's just playing on the opposite side of the map, waiting for a Solar Guardian opportunity. You don't have forward wards now on Exe this time, considering the state of the game. So they're not able to scout forward to see where that Dawnbreaker could be hiding. And it's always been the thorn on their side. If not the Dawnbreaker Solar Guardian, the follow-through from Armel has been massive. So it's these two things that are still causing issues for Exe. And again, they managed to get a good isolation play there. It still cost them their Monkey King. And it still makes it a lot tougher. Still, Roche is open. Exe has gone to work. They have an Axe timing up in Shanks that could scout for them. And could provide a little bit more into the team fights. Have to be a bit smart about this Roche. And it's not taking too much time to fall, but Exe are still on their way with that smoke here.
We saw this before. I mean, they've got to be so careful for Bart to not swipe the Aegis away. Roshan's going down. Lewis is going to jump in soon, but it's too late. Roshan down. Do you still want the fight? I think the answer must be no. And indeed, they are looking to retreat. It's definitely not a well-advised fight to take against the Bart when he's got 2 lives available. They're still sticking around here, Execration, hoping. A Bart does show up, but again, it's not really advised to take this fight, because Avadi, you are so reliant on committing Doom for this Bristleback to die. Unless you skewer him into the T3 towers and he's completely out of position. But apart from that, like, the Doom is what's making it happen.
That it is. Again, it just feels like Tino has to kind of be worried about the Quap. They have to all be worried about the Solar Guardian and Cox. Lewis is keeping track to Cox right now. He is alone, but I don't think he has the solo damage for that just yet.
It seemed like an Akashi, though, is going to die again. Armel Just finding another kill into the position 1 Magnus. Absolutely massive here for Kukuys. 9-1-6 now, the scoreline of this Queen of Pain. And again, Armel, he had a very rough Invoker game 1, but this game 2 on the Quap, he's been popping off. He's been having a great old time. In fact, they found Lewis. And Lewis is going to pop the BKB, try for the TP out, but they have the damage.
What is that?
It was something. It was something, John. But now you've got 2 cores down without buyback. This could be high ground. In fact, it is high ground. They're onto the tier 3 tower.
This is a little bit surprising. I feel like after Lewis saw Akashi die, surely he tried to get back into their high ground, knowing that a bot only had Ponyo backing him up. They were doing good chip damage onto this Bristle with the supports, but they don't take that. They don't take that opportunity. And now it's just a free set of racks coming out here for the side of Kukuys. Execration back 10k behind. Full Lincolns up for Armel. So even just getting the Doom off now is a little bit of a challenge for Tino. And Exe, their backs are starting to get pushed against the wall. They need to rely on Akashi to try to get isolation plays now.
But he's popped his BKB. Bloodstone active as well. Still got the Aegis up. Looking for Shanks on the Zeus. Does catch him. Skewer is not out yet. Akashi, he has it on cooldown. So can't drag him into the fountain. So Bart's still going to be okay to retreat. Mid-rack's still under siege. They've got no way of dealing with this Bristleback at the moment. Like, you've got Doom up, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think, right now. You've got to get through the first life first. So they do pop the RP, but an immediate Hex from Jewel. Not going to allow the Skewerback play. A Bart going on to Akashi now. They're still trying to get the Aegis down, and they've got it. They've got 1 life. It's a start. Now the Doom out. They want the secondary, but a Bart just going to casually walk out of there. They could just probably move back in after that Doom expires. And that is going to be the idea.
It's just no threat. Like, Akashi was forced to skewer back a while ago during the Solar Guardian. Does have at least a Shadow Blade, but can't even get the Harpoon skewer back as well. And without Doom, without RP, without Wukongs, I don't think you have a great defense lined up for you whatsoever here on the side of Exa. They're just going to have to watch this rack slowly get poked down.
They will. Soliganin in. Doom out once again here onto the Bristleback. Akashi looking for a skewer play. Doesn't get there in time. They'll chase down Jewel, but Cox is making it very hard as now Tino in trouble again. Should go down and does. No buyback for him. A big Sonic Wave Armel, making it impossible to finish a Bart. Akashi just hiding in the tree line, hoping they don't see him. But this game's over. Lewis is going down. A Bart on the chase. He'll find CML. Mega Creeps will be incoming anytime now. And I feel like this game, I mean, they're not calling it, but it feels well and truly over at this stage. You do still have some comeback potential, but it's just so tough now. You're 17k behind. You're up against Megas. Like, how do you do it now?
Yeah, you have the clear for the Megas at the very least. Wit and power up with 2 good right-click carries that can kind of take care of that. Your issue is just trying to kill anyone. There's just a severe lack of damage coming in at this point. Yep. Aegis was taken out, but you've got the full Lincolns to worry about on a bot. So he doesn't even care too much about the Doom. You have to be very cautious on Tino. He doesn't have anything to pop the Lincolns himself as well. So you're kind of reliant on Shanks putting himself in the firing line or CML putting himself in the firing line to try to pop these Lincolns for you. And I think your saving grace in Execration is this timing into Silver Edge. It'll leave you in a very dicey spot. Of course, especially with buyback status, you don't really have much available right now on the side of Exe. But they need it. They need that break. Big RP.
Indeed. Skewer back onto a Bart. Bart's still popping the Bloodstone. Is going to be perfectly fine, though. He's running in a bit too deep here. Bart, though, healing up again. Just turning his back proves to be enough. Zakashi's gone.
Oh, man.
Still no buyback. CML to boot. GG is called. They've seen enough. We are going to a game 3 as a rampage for a Bart to finish things off in the fountain. You love to see it. I mean, Kukuys, they had a rough start to this game too, but they made it work. Matchup here once again. Winner of this does proceed through to the lower bracket round of 2. Loser is out of the qualifiers altogether.
Prepare for battle.
Here we go. What's this? What are they saying now?
About to saying, you guys are cheaters. You're using normal heroes now. It's like, go keep going for the MK. And it's like, Tino told us to just go for this kind of build now. Like, all right,
Okay.
have fun, have fun. CEO Tino.
CEO Tino.
Mismo.
I
It's like,
still
exactly.
It's just this AM, man. It's. I can't remember the last time I watched a good AM game. I really can't. It's just
I
one
can
of those
remember.
heroes, you know.
No,
you?
I can remember. Jackie, Motivate Trust. 20.
That was a long time ago.
Yes. But that was the last good AM game I saw. He would go SNY disassembly. I think he had Vanguard disassembly up there as well.
30
That was lit.
seconds to battle.
Well, here we go.
Just
this
5
could be
minutes
lit
ago.
too. But Bart's gonna stun himself. It's all right. I mean, they seems like Lewis saw that. That's all right.
Yeah, I have to say as well. Tino saying they're cheating. You guys are cheating. You're chatting, but you guys are all smoked up. You cheaters.
That's fair. That is fair. That is a. That
That's
is a
calling out.
cheating.
No,
kind
that
of move.
is Tino's strat as well. Okay. Calm down,
These
guys.
boys are crazy. These guys are crazy, John. Anyway, moving into this, of course, we're going to start with the mid lane. You're going to have Lewis there. He's going to be up against Armel. This could be an interesting matchup. I feel like the Pango should still have a pretty decent old time against the ES, but it is one of those skill-based matchups. Can go either way.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too rough for Armel. We've seen him play this matchup before. And we have seen him pull at least 50-50, sometimes slightly ahead if the Pangolier kind of overextends. You do have Thunderbolt as well for Lewis, so no need to worry about something like the double jump as well. There is a lot of poke potential, of course, for Lewis, but Armel always has the kickback as a threat if the wave is too shoved in. And he's being very conservative with mana usage, not even feeling the need to get the kickback, as we do have a pause. The ha-has come out, as there is a little bit of an awkward situation. Hotkey issue. A bot that's like bleeped bristleback gameplay, so he must have changed some of his hotkeys for the bristleback 2-button gameplay, and he's getting annoyed.
Jesus Christ. These players, I tell you. So sometimes these players just turn into the biggest divas, you know?
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you. You hang out with a pro player in the airport in a transit flight, Mikey? Ooh, you're in for some good times. You should give it a try.
How was that?
Yeah.
How you
Oh,
never
it was
told me how
amazing.
that was, by the way.
Oh, we needed to withdraw some money. The player in question, I'm not going to call him out. The player in question said, "How do I withdraw cash? Can I use discard?" I was like, what am I dealing with? My God, man, you're 24 years old. You've never withdrawn your own cash. I was just befuddled. Befuddled, Michael Phoenix.
Well, I know who you're talking about, John. I won't name him, but I know who you're talking about. Bottom lane, a bot in a lot of trouble. Blood Grenade is going to land onto Execration, making it harder to secure the kill, but they've got Shockwave in one. Tino! Oh, he's got him. Meanwhile, Ponyo, he's stuck around trying to help out. He's also going to go down. Shanks to take the other kill. And that's more like it for Execration. That's the start they wanted to see.
That it is. Applying so much pressure onto a bot early. And that is him with seed money, so even without extra gold, Mikey's not really winning out as he gets skewered back.
He does get skewered back. Tino should get stunned up here. Abat, though, can't really stick around for the kill, though. Tino might actually just die to shadow poisons if he cops too much. He will not. He has 1 charges as well. But already just applying so much damage back the way of the Alchemist.
Not going to be a fun time
Abat
for a
probably
bot.
not very happy.
I mean, look, his seed money just went into regen. And he's still losing out anyhow. It's a rough time for good old Abat. Maybe they start to line this up with that disruption play onto Shanks, but even then, gap closing onto Jara doesn't seem like a fantastic idea right now. So a fantastic start in the off lane here for Tino. We'll take a look at the top. The one lane that is rather interesting with Akashi on the AM is getting slightly pressured by the dual melee of Clockwork and the Dawnbreaker, but again, you do always have to blink out for Akashi. And the one thing in this back and forth lane is that if Akashi can pressure onto Cox and drain his mana, it can be a little bit rough for Cox, right? You really do need Celestial Hammer and Starbreaker to feel good in the laning phase. The AM isn't the tankiest hero, though, to try to extend his influence that way. And already Cox is just being heavily aggressive, forcing the blinks from Kashi every single time. At the least, you always have your pullback here. CML is getting some good lane management out that way, but this is not a completely fun time for Akashi by any means. He is still finding some farm. Some of that is down to the neutral camp, so it's not as high value. But it does feel like you are getting some good control out from Cox to apply that pressure on the weaker laning that the AM does have.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a nice thing with Clockwork these days. Like, back in the day, you used to hate the AM matchup because you just had your mana drained every 2 seconds. But now you just use Cogs and then the AM loses his mana. And it's always a good laugh to kind of trade back with the anti-mage in the laning stage. And Akashi must have some faith in his ability to play this hero if he did ask his team to draft it. Maybe he didn't even ask. Maybe they just drafted it for him. As now Tino bottom lane looking for a Bart once again, but a nice disruption going to ensure they can't get in range for the Shockwave skew back play. They still get it anyway though, going the other way towards the west. And once again Tino and Shanks able to clean up this bottom lane.
And you know how Tino is. When he's popping off in lane, he's probably bouncing up and down his chair, yelling, "Ha, what a noob," or something like that. He's a happy lad right now. Maybe he's all business. It depends on what Tino is feeling. But he's playing on edge. Does have the wand charges in the Lotus, but is at least forcing the rotation out from Joel as well. So they're freeing up the top lane just by overextending down bot. You're more than happy, actually, to free up that space for the anti-mage. In fact, Joel,
Bit of danger here. It's going to be okay. Tino and Shanks unable to finish off this time. Now Shanks getting left behind. 4 Shadow Poison stacks. A 5th one to come, and that'll be enough for Ponyo to get a double kill now onto both Tino and Shanks. Well, you love to see that.
I mean, that was just a little bit greedy from Exa. It does, again, open up space for the AM, dragging Joel down onto that bot, but you're happy enough to find a double kill for your trouble. Maybe even some movement down here onto mid.
Now Armel going to be targeted. Jewel getting low as well. Lewis, he's out of mana, but it may not matter because Armel's still dropping to the flat cannon of the Fire Spirits. Oh, he's going to survive. It's about 17 HP on that Earth Spirit before he got out of there. Very close call. Still, at least they do find themselves a Clockwork, and they do ensure Lewis does remain alive.
They do. Don't really get to top up Lewis in the bottle, but he will have Power Rune access with complete control on Execration side. More than happy to kind of just get that done. A Haste Rune as well for his trouble, though Armel trying to be sneaky, and does sneak that one away. So, no sort of consolations for Lewis. In fact, Armel's still a little bit hungry, but not quite enough in the tank to dive under the tier 1. Still 2-5, 1k lead, slight advantage for Execration. You're not in a bad spot for your Kukuys. You are still finding some decent farm for a bot despite all of those early losses. He is still set for a decent enough Radiance timing, but Tino is following his tail quite nicely, of course, on that mag. Akashi on the AM still struggling, but he's not struggling as much as Cox at the least.
They do take CML down upper top lane as well. Jewel and Cox able to get that done. Chases onto Ponyo. Shank's going to get the homing missile off down at bottom. I mean, Ponyo can try to deny himself off. He'll get a disruption at least to avoid the homing missile, but should just be dead. Trying to deny himself, doesn't get away with it. Tino able to pick up another kill here on this Magnuson. This is kind of a scary start to give Tino on a mag. Like, this man knows this hero very, very well, and giving him this kind of start is not going to be the greatest idea here for Kukuys.
Certainly not. They're also not in position to contest for Wisdom Rune, so they just have to go for the 1-for-1. You at least manage to, again, still find your own, but you miss out on an opportunity to start to build up. Tino now has level 6. As his power threads up, is going to be probably working to Blinker Echo. They isolate Lewis on mid, though. You do get that consolation out.
It was trying to get the Rolling Thunder off, but it does never get it off, and it costs him his life.
Oh, Joel. They're really starting to have a little bit of fun on both sides. Sending messages to each other.
Mid lane, Armel being chased again by CML, but it's just for the power room. It's going to be a nice little invis pickup for whoever wants it, and it seems like Akashi might just... No, Akashi does not take it. No, he does. There you go. He'll get away with it. Meanwhile, bottom lane, RP committed. Our Bart has been caught again, but this time they've got the Solar Guardian to follow up with. Rolling
Ooh.
Thunder, though, is going to fly in here from Lewis to buy Tino a bit of time, but Tino is going to drop. Here comes Armel to help out. Lewis does not have the damage output right now for this Alchemist, though he is sticking around trying, but now with the Chemical Rage, he can't get it done, and Tino, or rather Cox was moving in. Lewis will go down. A Bart looking for more. CML going to get caught. You love to see that. 3 down for the side of Execration, and Kukuys is going to be very happy with themselves about the trades.
Well, certainly so. Again, you're just seeing how disruptive Solar Guardian can be, and just the lack of damage right now on the side of Execration to even consider that RP play. You don't really have anything coming out from Shanks. Rocket Barrage can't really help you with a wide swath of heroes. And there's really not much to speak of from Tino in terms of damage outside of the Shockwave poke. Of course, you're not expecting the Anti-Mage to show up anytime soon as well. Akashi just camping up top. Still trying to work into that Battle Fury, so we're not getting something like the fighting AM sort of build here. Let's start to fight onto Cox at the very least. Or try to.
Dire's middle tower
They
is
got
under
him.
attack.
Cox will go down. CML to secure that one for himself.
Radiant's top tower is under
Ping's
attack.
coming out towards bottom. It seems like they might... No, they won't. I mean, it's still Tino on the mag. Not going to be that easy to pick off, though. But it's like he does land a quick stun to the Magnus, but that's going to be about it. And with that, I mean, it's looking like a pretty good game now for Kukuys. After that last bottom fight, the game has swung back their way. And keep in mind, they have an Alchemist who was struggling just a moment ago, but suddenly a Bart back to the top of the net worth board, working towards the Radiance, and should still be on par to get the nice timing he's looking for. As now Shank's going to get caught out by Armel. So another one looking to go their way. Shanks, he'll pop the 1 charges, but it's not going to matter. He will die to Armel.
I like this aggression coming out from Kukuys. Trying to apply some pressure on the weaker points of Execration's draft. I mean, you've got an AM and Magnus. They're going to need farm. Outside of that laning phase going well for them. These heroes are just not going to be fully ready. Tino is trying to go into the Echo Saber, it looks like. Again, Akashi still needs a Battle Fury because of Lewis not really finding the best of times on mid. Like, all of this emphasis on him with some good rotations in. He's also offset on his own timings into that Echo Saber as they managed to get an isolation onto CML.
Yeah, that they do. CML are definitely just going to die here. No two ways about that. He is gone. And I mean, this draft, it's really starting to pop off now. Very, very hard to slow this one down, especially considering you got to carry AM on your side of things, who's not able to ever help out until he's like ready in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it still begs the question what they expect the Anti-Mage to do, because its tempo doesn't tie into an early mid-game timing. Even with Battle Fury, you're going to need Manta Style or an SNY, something for some durability here. And that's more time where you're just buying space to farm. You can maybe start to make some plays with your Magnus plus Pangolier. That could be one way to go about it. The side of Kukuys, though, not willing to cede that ground. Take the tier 1, straight for gate movement, not going to be hunting the AM. Instead, they do have some juicy targets down bot. If they manage to catch Tino just farming out here, it would be, again, another big hero to slow down, because we talk about it all the time with Exa. If Tino is off to a bad start, things can go bad very quickly.
Oh, nice hook shot. Jewel catching him mid-skewer. Tino. I mean, he was having an amazing start to this game, but they're just constant pickoffs onto Tino, making life very hard for the poor Magnus. And with that, I just no reactions either. It was underneath the tier 1 tower of the Dire, but they just did not feel confident enough to try and get in there and help out. Jewel, he's alright. He'll just pop the cogs and run. Jump in. A Bart gonna land a stun onto Shanks. Rolling Thunder is out from Lewis in a very nice position, but Disruption is gonna buy time to allow him to walk out of this scenario, though the egg does pop now. CML still moving on to a Bart. A Bart's still okay, but dropping lower and lower as he now tries to run towards the south. Lands a stun, trying to avoid Tino, but he's been caught. Chemical Rage is over. Meanwhile, Armel needs to just roll out of it. Lewis? Oh, Armel, he's out of mana. He's gone too far. Akashi, seeing an opening, does start to move in. Jewel gonna try and stay back and sacrifice himself. But Akashi's having none of it. He wants the big dog in Armel. Armel, though, rolls away. Akashi going to blink right after, but he's on the low ground. They'll take Jewel out. Armel's still running. Barely has the mana for another roll. Akashi, though, blocks the roll, but gets stunned. So can't actually continue for the kill.
Oh. That's a little bit of a back and forth miss for the side of Exa. They're still happy enough to find that punishment onto a bot, but really needed that kill on Armel to swing back even further. 3k lead still standing for Kukuys off the back of that. Akashi forced to show up. Isn't too bad. It is leading to this build-up into Battle Fury still within 15 minutes. Not the fastest, but also not the worst in the world. And you are starting to see some openings for their output. A little bit of a chase onto Cox, at the least up top.
Yeah, top lane, Cox. He'll go down. Nice pick up here from CML and Lewis. And overall, Kukuys might need to just slow down a little bit. You know, they had a good fight. They just had a bit of a bad fight, and I mean, your Alchemist, it's not exactly ready. Like, you've got a Radiance up, but that's not at the stage where the Alch really wants to get going. You know, you want that S&Y, you want the blink up, and maybe after that point is when you start to really get involved. But till then, you know, you don't really want to commit to these big team fights as an Alchemist. Not yet.
Still ready with a smoke. 3-man. All ultimates back up. Double blade mails available now as well, so they just need to find a good angle here.
Tino's around, though. Smoke's going to be broken. Akashi just gets the hell out with the blink, and the smoke means nothing. You know, they'll get a double stack in the triangle, but that's really all they're going to get out of it.
Yeah, I'd say that's still decent enough. Cutting off triangle access for Akashi, who just picks up Battle Fury, and just kind of being a little bit of a nuisance, forcing out the TP into the side for him to get his build up. You still maintain a 1k advantage on Kukuys. It is starting to sacrifice other cores. Sure, they do manage to catch Cox again.
Cox is alright.
It's just concerning. Still, you are getting these timings out for Akashi. Right, Battle Fury's up, can go into his own SNY, and can start to look to make some plays off the back of that. I'm just not sure if you're going to have the smoothest times. It almost feels like a game where you have to kind of go BKB on AM. Just because if you are going to get stunned out by Armel, the chain stuns afterwards are just going to be kind of atrocious to deal with. 2k lead for an Alchemist draft, not the biggest. Joel, just going a little bit aggressive, but not really looking for the full follow-up just yet. Or slowing down the response out from Exa and forcing bodies out to kind of clump around mid. Like, this is a lot of space being given out to the sides, right? Like, because you're teleporting these heroes to aid Lewis, you're sure that a bot is safe. You're sure that Cox has room to try to build up into his Ags. And you're kind of still happy playing this pace anyhow in Kukuys. Again, a 2k lead isn't massive. You kind of want to grow that. Every single time you're leaving a bot alone, that lead will grow almost exponentially with some time given out here.
Well, there's that S&Y now for a bot. Rotations, though. It seems like Execration, they want to go for the fight. Jewel blocked the way with the cogs, making it a little bit challenging to get in there. As now a bot actually moved forward with the stun, but he gets hit by the Rolling Thunder. Lewis, not going to be able to find him a second time. They'll run out of the egg range. Meanwhile, Tino, though, gets caught here by Mel, and Tino, he gets the RP off, but he might still just be dead, and he will be. The Magnetize proving to be enough as CML now just trying to Icarus dive out of there, but Armel's got the Boulder Smash. We'll catch him. Another set of kills to go the way of Kukuys. Not great news for Execration. I mean, they try to move in for a fight, but the fight got really awkward once that cogs came out. Just blocking that pathway on the staircase, and yeah, it's suddenly another one fight here for the Radiant team.
It's just really awkward for Execration. Like, the positioning for CML on the egg, not ideal. You really want to tie that in with your RP. Instead, forced to pop it really early, hoping to try to kill off the Clockwork or anyone else that follows through. And it falls flat. You need to be able to coordinate here on the side of Execration. We talked about that being one of their stronger points, but it just feels like this time Kukuys are able to kind of break their resolve just a bit. And you look at the warding from Kukuys this time around, a lot of emphasis on that triangle, a ward by the tier 1 where it used to be, a ward in the triangle in a very sneaky spot, even a ward by the ramp. They're constantly keeping track of that movement from Exa down bot. This is the only area they've been playing in. And the only thing that's happening up top is Akashi farm. This is some heads-up warding out from Kukuys, which is something that's been lacking for a bit. They managed to take a solo kill onto Shanks as well. Sport Jar just being a little bit too far out. And they just keep building up. 15 to 12, 4K lead. Again, a free game so far for a bot as he starts to work into that full Bloodthorn. And in comparison, when Akashi is second in net worth, he has climbed up on that AM. I still question what you expect the AM to do, considering how much map space you're losing. Yes, in an endgame scenario, he can cut creep waves, he can be very slippery, stall out the game, but that isn't really a win condition. That's more of a stall condition at best.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough time now for Akashi. He's going to just kind of weather out the storm, I think. Problem is the storm that is a bot is going to be coming very soon. Like, he's working on towards the Orchid now, which is obviously is going to make life a little bit challenging for Akashi, though. In fairness, Akashi about 800 gold away from having the full mantra up. They'll roll in. They have found Cox on the Dawnbreaker, and without mana, Cox not going to be able to do too much. But the save here from Jewel, a very nice hook, and now Armel, he's going to show up. Akashi's down!
Oh.
Tino, he's going to pop the RP, but it's all too late. He'll try to get away. Armel's going to be there to secure his life. Lewis up at north, he'll be okay. But I'll tell you, like, they're just getting there so fast. The Shanks even a drop here to a bot. Just the rotation speed from Execration proving to be way too fast.
Certainly so. And that was probably the ideal circumstance for Execration. They get the jump on Cox. They don't have to worry about Solar Guardian. They have all their heroes on top. They even get a massive call down with the secondary strikes up on Shanks. It's just not enough. They'll even lose Lewis on the side while he goes back to farm after that botched fight. And the side of Kukuys are just dancing all over Execration. For Execration's part, and this AM's starting to try to help out, but what's it supposed to achieve at this point?
Oh, top lane, Akashi barely getting out for now, but the chase continues here from a bot. He wants to commit. Akashi's got to blink back up. He's going to be okay. Like, it just keeps getting scarier and scarier as now a bot looking to move back in onto CML. Does catch the Phoenix. So you don't get the anti-mage you wanted, but you still get a consolation prize here for the Alchemist. And, well, Bard now, he's getting closer and closer into just finishing off the full Bloodthorn. Orchid's on the way.
Just becomes so much easier to look for that lockdown. Heck, if you're not careful in Akashi, you could just get pinned down before this Manta is fully finished up. You're still on the offensive.
Tino. They're gonna find Tino right by the Tormentor, but he does have the skill back play. So at least Tino will escape this time around. But Kukuys, I mean, this is the time where you want to just impose your dominance. Like, there's no need to play it slow at this point. Yeah, Abart's still finding farm at a very nice pace, even if you are just fighting across the map. See, Armel's hit a great spike on the Earth Spirit, just being an absolute menace here. This game around, 9-0-5 is his scoreline, as he's going to find Lewis. Nice blink away, though, from Lewis, going to avoid the roll of Armel. Just immediate TPs out from both these cores up at top lane.
You can't afford to take the risk. You have to show a lot of respect for how mobile the side of Kukuys are. And you've got Earth Spirit, you've got Clockwork, even just the blink on a bot, but how almost indestructible he has been on this Alchemist has just felt oppressive for the side of Execration. For the side of Exe, we kind of talked about this in draft, right? When you're running the offlane mag. And Tino did make this choice, but he went back for Ex-Saber Blink. He's not opting for the Aura buildup. Without something like Pipe, every single time they turn on Kukuys, it's just going to be easy pickings. You have a Magnetize that lasts forever. You've got the full Shivas up on Armel. Like, there's nothing to stop that magic damage from just melting these heroes apart. You will start to get into the BKB territory, at least for Tino. But the rest of the team is just sitting ducks to that magic damage right now. And I feel like you don't really need to go for, like, the damage-dealing Magnus in this case. The Harpoon sort of skewer back, Blink Harpoon skewer back play Magnus. You could have gone for Aura Utility and then gradually transition into that role for the Harpoon. And maybe just with a simple pipe, you might have a little bit more play out for Lewis. Your supports could survive longer. Heck, maybe CML's alive long enough to pop a good supernova instead of popping it way too early. Still, more space being eaten up by Kukuys. Tier 2 gone. Forward ward still set up. Onto the mid, the last outer tower here for Exit to play around with. And there's just no signs of slowing down for Kukuys. No reason to slow down whatsoever. Execration are the ones just struggling to find anything. You see Akashi's trying to work onto the Ags. But those blink fragments, at the very least, absolutely something so they get a hook shot out.
They do get a hook shot there. Found Lewis. Another great pick-off here for Armel. Now his 10th kill on this map. And yeah, there is going to come a stage where Akashi's going to be a nuisance. This is my problem with this hero. It's not good. It's just annoying. You know? It's just such a... I'm not going to swear, but it's such a bad hero. But you hit a stage where it just doesn't let you finish the game. You know, that's what it does.
That is what it really does. It almost reminds you of, like, what was it? Mikado's puck on Talon when it was the old Savage lineup, right? Like, that was what Mikado was doing on puck. He would just stall the game until eventually a mistake is made and come back in. But it's not like they draft the puck to think that, oh, we're going to play 60 minutes, we're going to have Mikado carry our asses and kind of win. They don't pick the puck for that. In this case, you kind of pick the AIM for that, right? Like, I don't know what other reason you pick the AIM for outside of being that annoying bug. And I know it's just, maybe we'll see if it pays off at maybe around the 30-minute mark. Roche will just go the way of Kukuys with no contest. Secondary life up for Abat. And 14k lead for Kukuys. All the cores on the side of Kukuys pulling ahead now in comparison to their counterparts on Execration. No outer towers left for Exa. A couple of forward wards, I say forward, just at least outside their high ground wards on their side of the map, watching the triangle and top jungle, but nothing that they can really play off the back of. At the least in high ground fights, with the BKB up on Tino, it should be a little bit easier to gun for some big RP plays, which they are heavily reliant on now to kind of have an opening.
Looking for a freebie here on Shanks. Not going to be too challenging for Abad. He'll just let him walk away and die to the Bloodthorn. And Abad, he's onto the tier 3 mid tower. I mean, no messing around here for the Alk. Understands he can at least find this. Of course, you do have Tino with the skill back play, so you do have to be somewhat cautious. But you're going to have to deal with Abad twice. That's the challenging part. How do you kill this guy 2 times? Well, at least his Chemical Rage is going to wear off. So that should give you an opportunity to think about how we can actually kill him, as they are going to go for the skill back play. Into the tier 4 towers they'll go. Bart still perfectly fine to walk out of there, though. Lewis is going to jump in. Rolling Thunder is there. Bart still 10 seconds away from that next Chemical Rage. Does get knocked onto the high ground now. Akashi going to get to work. Bart's going to lose his first life, although Hookshot is out from Jewel, catching Akashi. Akashi will blink out of there. Meanwhile, Tino going to go for a big RP, looking for the skill back play, but the Solar Guardian instead going to fly in. They'll actually avoid it altogether with the skewer into the tier 4 towers. Now the Spirit Vessel into Abart, trying to pick him off, but he's still just not dying. Abart's still going to be able to survive and reset by the looks of it. They just don't have enough in the tank to finish him off, as now Tino jumps in, but the immediate silence out. Not what you wanted to see. They do at least kill Ponyo, but Akashi, is he really going to die for this? He barely makes it, but no, Armel's there. Cuts him off on the AM. No buyback available. This is a problem. This game might just be over.
It looks pretty much that way. No buybacks left. Respawns are fairly short. You don't have Egg. You don't quite have RP. You don't really have Threat. And Abat's just going to have Chemical Rage back off cooldown in short order. So you don't really have a way of stopping him. That was a good attempt out from Exa. I think that was the ideal team fight, actually. Great RP, great skewer back outside of that Solar Guardian, but when it comes down to it, your AM has no damage. Like, there's no output to speak of. It almost feels like you kind of need that to align with, say, the call down secondary strikes, but even that's a stretch to expect your support to line up for every single time. And the racks will fall. Again, respawns are quick at the least, and you always have skewer back plays to try to carry you through here. But it just doesn't feel enough. Big advantage now for Kukuys. 27-14, 25k lead on hand. And Execration, I mean, I know I don't mean to pick on Akashi, but I really just don't understand this AM whatsoever. It's just not doing anything. I mean, the Ags is 1,000 gold away. That's something, but when you're 2 racks is down, it's not really much of something here.
Yeah, AM does not enjoy being behind when it comes to the racks. So Execration, the thing about rolling in, Jewel is going to get spotted. Problem is, Abat's here. Hookshot in. Solar Guardian through as well. And here comes the cavalry. Shanks and CML gone. So is Tino. But they just get there too fast. Uh-oh. What's Abat saying here?
Abat saying, you guys still don't want to call it? You guys still don't want to call it?
I mean,
Still not
he
calling
has a point, doesn't he, John?
Yeah, nah. I'm with him. Somewhat. And Armalt saying, Abat is tick-faced. Abat is telling, you can still do it, Akashi. You can still do it. You've got the AM. You can do it.
Jump in.
Lord.
Lewis traps himself in the cogs. Still going to be able to roll out of there. GG is...
He calls it. Yeah, he calls it.
Yeah,
So,
enough.
no. Well, that is the last time we're seeing Anti-Mage in a competitive match for a while, at the very least. And I guess Execration learns the hard way as to why that hero is just... Look, I don't even know why they picked it, right? Like, the only time we see AM nowadays is into Storm and Medusa. You had neither of those heroes here. What was the... I'm gonna